So you slacking off means I need to respond, Kane? Good morning. What a time for an interesting phone call right after my like stuff finishes and I'm ready to start casting. Interesting phone call. Sorry about that. Let me finish getting set up here. Swing. Phone calls. Very, very interesting. All right. So what are we doing today? We are getting set for... I'm not seeing chat on my chat. And I don't know why. I'm not seeing chat on my chat. Like, this is what I mean. This is my chat window. This is on the prompter. I'm not seeing chat on my chat. Like, why do I see no chat? The filters aren't getting rid of chat. There's chat. Like, why do I see no chat? Where's chat? Need quick action. Care about avatars. Chat. There is no chat. Very weird. There's no chat. What the fuck? Where's chat? Where's my chat? What the shit? I need to be able to see to respond to people. What the hell? Where's chat? Where's my fucking chat? What the shit? There's no... What the... Why? Wait, what the... Why are ads coming now? The hell? No, that's from last night. I thought that was a new... thought that was a new one. That's from last night. So... What the fuck, streamer bot? The hell? Streamer bot. Chat. So chat's now open over there. I need to be able to see chat so I can respond to chat. Everything's everything. Let's do it this way. Exit. By restarting StreamerBot, it might end up starting up a new it might say, hey, we have to redo the other stuff. Like I said, it might start doing the whole thing again. Hopefully it doesn't say, hey, we have to redo everything. But I can just do that, bring it right back. Let's hope it doesn't do anything. All right, chat. There we go. That was weird. Okay. Oh, Jesus H. That was annoying. I didn't realize that I had to restart the whole freaking system. All right. Yay. We're working now. Hoot. All right. So strange phone call. Kane, you said you wouldn't be able to last a week and a half without your significant other in a nice quiet house. I hope that was sarcasm. And It's 2 weeks. No, I can see your other messages. Because I'm on, like, and when I look over here, if I'm looking like this, I'm actually staring at Twitch chat directly. If I look over here, I'm looking at all the chats. And if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my actual stream itself, like the OBS window. So Twitch, chat, OBS. Coding. And if I'm looking up here, I'm looking at a different set. So yeah, that's how that all works on this side of things. Come on, get back where you belong. Get back there. Back where you belong. Oh wait, my Loft OBS, which is my other. There we go. That one's all set. That's all set. That's all set. Good. You can now come up here. Now you can go right there. Done. All right. So you're special. So only streaming until just before 10 o'clock my time today. So just like 2.5 hours. Have work. Have a lot of students today. So I'm going to be busy the whole time. And then at about 1:30 my time, I'll be back with more coding stuff. And then I won't be streaming tomorrow until about 1 o'clock. Because I have work to do tomorrow too. But I have work to do that I need to get done in the morning tomorrow. So the idea for now is get as much done as I can, figure out what the hell's going on, and then blow everything away and start from scratch to see if I can do it without using the AI. I'm kidding. I'm not doing that yet. That will happen, but it's not going to happen this week. That will happen. Excuse me. That will happen after this prototype is done. So right now, the prototype is using ingredients, and if the ingredient happens to be composed. If the ingredient is a composed ingredient, what that means is if it's a recipe-based ingredient. If, for example, I look at this and I see Tri-Blaster in there, Tri-Blaster will have a list of ingredients that were used to compose it. So that means this is a composed ingredient. Ergo, is composed will be true. Same thing with supermassive black hole. Is composed true? Okay, what are the component ingredients? Tri-Blaster. Oh, that one's also composed. What are those component ingredients? Here they are with people who cast them. That's how that's going to work. So we send over an ingredient. If it's a composed ingredient, it has all this stuff. The intent is who cast it and what the ID of their action was that cast it. Not the ID as in like this is spell ID 37 or whatever. But later on in development and later on in the game, excuse me, players are going to be able to do more than one action per turn via a couple of different stats. And so if they have 2 actions per turn and they cast the same ability in each of those actions, let's say that somebody casts Firebolt and then Firebolt, the ability ID and the actor ID would be the same. So there has to be some way to differentiate between the first cast of Firebolt and the second cast of Firebolt, because if we just consume Firebolt from actor, all of the instances of that, if they cast the same thing twice in a row, would be removed. So now we have the unique identifier being the action ID, whether it's the first one, the second one, the third one in a turn that they cast. So no, Mega Firebolt isn't going to be a thing. If you want to do a Mega Firebolt, you have to cast a Tri-Blaster. The way combo attacks are going to work in the game is you can't combo. Well, maybe I'll make it so that you can combo your own stuff. So maybe you'll be able to cast a Tri-Blaster yourself, right? As you get, like if you get to 3 attacks a turn, then yeah, maybe you'll be able to cast Tri-Blaster on your own. But you'll never be able to, or I shouldn't say never, but the idea is that you're not going to be able to cast a Supernova on your own unless you're like at end game, and you for some reason have like 9 attacks a turn or whatever. Which is why they're all going to have cooldowns too, by the way. But well, maybe I do put that in. Who knows? But the idea is you have 2 attacks a turn. You cast Firebolt. Somebody else casts Thunder. Somebody else casts Tsunami. That turns into a Tri-Blaster. An Electrical Firebolt is a is that a what's the hold on. The Electrical Firebolt is an Ionic Blast. Sorry. These are all test abilities, but they like a lot of these are going to be in the end game. Like they're going to be there. And there's going to be a whole shitload more, because once I get to that point, I'm going to be developing a metric fuck ton of abilities. So, missing return on match.go. Yeah. We undo and return X. There we go. Boop. Now everything works because we're giving the ingredient, the test ingredient, yada, yada, yada. All right. So you've already named some. Yeah, I've named a couple already. I've named a couple of skills, right? So Thunder, but some of these are going to be renamed, of course. I have no ice-based skills yet. I have a fire skill, I have a water skill, and I have a lightning skill, which are conveniently called Fire, Bolt, Thunder, and Tsunami. Basically, a lot of these skills are going to be renamed because some of them are just here for fun to test, and some of them will not be renamed. Like Tri-Blaster is not getting renamed. I actually think I'm going to keep Supermassive Black Hole, and Supernova in here. Just because I like the way they work. But a lot of this stuff is going to be renamed. This is just for prototype purposes, to make sure that the idea of, hey, you cast this, you cast this, you cast that, now by our powers combined, we destroy the enemy or whatever, you know? That's what the whole prototype is for, is to make sure that that kind of interaction works. And if that fails, if it doesn't feel good when I get the prototype done, then a lot of the work I've done over the last 2 weeks goes bye-bye, because I have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how the combat is going to work, which means right back to design. But I think for turn-based, I think I have a good base. We will see. I'm going to need people who like turn-based games to really give me an idea about how they feel about combat later. Anyway, so what we're doing here, we have the intent is the ability, the actor, and the action. And it doesn't come in as an intent, it comes in as an ingredient, which happens to have an intent on top of it. An ingredient is a single spell cast, like Firebolt. Once it goes through, once it combines into one, the intent becomes, the ability ID becomes, like, in this case, Tri-Blaster, but the actor ID disappears and the action ID disappears, because Tri-Blaster is not cast by anybody. It's a combination. But it keeps the power and it keeps the ingredient list. So, and then when everything's all put together, we keep the composed, the ones that made a new one, all the way up to Supermassive Black Hole. That would be a composed with all of its ingredients in the ingredient slice. And then basic attack would end up being a pure. So we return the result with a pure basic attack and a composed Supermassive Black Hole, which means that when we get that result back to the combat parser, it will then say we have 2 abilities to do, this one and this one. And when it does that ability, when like much later down the road, when that ability, like Supermassive Black Hole comes in, it'll say, okay, who did what to compose this? And it'll show, based on what that is, for example, it'll show 3 of them starting a Tri-Blaster. one of them starting a Rift Lance, and three of the players starting a Supernova attack, right? And the Tri-Blaster will be one person will have fire on their hands, and one person will have thunder and coming out. And so those will start, but they'll go to a point or something and combine on screen so you can see it happening. And then all of them come together on screen to then create the black hole. And then because Rift Lance is there, they all come in with the Rift Lance. The Rift Lance then just juts in, and instead of the black hole being small, it'll actually expand it. And like, the whole idea of visuals, but it's going to be done in an art style that isn't going to be like Expedition 33 or anything, because I'm not going to have the money for that kind of ever. So the idea in my head has to translate to what the art style is going to be for the game and what we're going to do to present that. But the basic thing is players are going to, or enemies are going to cast certain abilities, and when everything resolves, it's going to show them starting to cast it and having those abilities combine on screen during the 15-second or so combat resolution turn resolution step. Maybe it'll only be 10 seconds. I don't know. We'll see. The whole tuning of turn-based is going to be around how long turns are going to be, and how we can get rid of the wait time as much as possible while also allowing players to do what they need to do. So like maybe during resolution, we start the timer for turns, and then after resolution is done, we then start the countdown. So players can start inputting whatever they want during resolution display or something like that. Anyway, that's the idea in my head for how it's going to play out, which means combo attacks are going to be big. And really hard-hitting combo attacks are going to be rare and require a lot of interaction. So yeah, that's where we stand. So what we need to do now is we need to figure out where we're going from here, because we have the structures that we need for the skills being cast. Now I think we're going directly into the parsing. And then after that, probably going to happen later today, we're going to start doing the actual netcode to allow client to connect to the server and interact with these different things. We'll have basic like generic players with generic cells and nothing actually out there, just combat looking to test it. So way up here, this is what it was talking about. This is what I came up. Similar but not the same. And then we need to recurse. So what we need to do is we need to parse through all of that. Right now, the ability ID right now is just this. We need to take match intent registry. Which means load is going to be it's going to be here. I'm going to have to load test load. What the hell are we going to have to do? I'm cracked. All right, combat and match test. Match test. We'll do match test with the load test. But the same idea as load. So let's go ahead and figure out, because I think I know what I want to do, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what my next step is. Well, it's not a description. What the hell is it called? Signature. It's going to be a composed YAML table. It's going to be what it is. Yeah, one submit intent per actor per phase, whether or not that's 3 abilities or not. Wait a minute. Hold on. Submit intent message is going to have multiple intents. So submit intent when the client sends it is going to have a slice of intent. That's what it's going to. Server collects 1 per actor per phase, and at walk, the collected slice goes to match. Match never fetches anything. Intents arrive as a parameter because they're an event, not a stored state. Yeah, that's duh. In the prototype, the turn tick owns them. It holds the per phase submission buffer, closes it at lock, and calls match buffer reg. Why match is pure and why it's buildable before the tick exit. It has no opinion about where the slice came. There are literals in the test file, not YAML. Go. So it is table driven. It's just a slice of, okay, so whatever. So we'll do this. Instead of x equals result, we'll actually do that, but we're going to, so this is the kind of thing where copying code from AI, it's not vibe coding, but it's basically the same thing. If I copy this, I don't get the learning that happens when you physically do it yourself. Like, remember, I did this myself, and then when I found out what the error was, all right, let's fix it. Same thing is going to happen here. There are literals in the test file, which is going to be in match.test. So intent is going to equal a slice of intent, which is going to be this. And this is going to be the test, right? So the first thing, we're going to take the intent structure. Now that I see what we're doing, intent is going to be ability. ID is going to be these have to be actual abilities. So the first one will have this person cast implode, which is not a implode is not a combo attack. So if we take, I don't want to use the definitions. We go into implode and we take a look at implode. Implode is not a combo attack, it's castable. So we can do this. So the first ability is implode. We go back over to the types and we see that we have an actor ID. The actor ID will be the first actor, so player 1, right? And then the action ID is an int, which is the first action of that player. Now we can do this, and we can go there. Now that player cast implode twice, or I can have them cast something else that turn. In this case, we'll have them cast Ionic Blast is actually a combo attack. It's not castable. It requires two ingredients, so I can't have them cast that. Avada Kedavra means nothing without intent. I know what you're talking about, and just to be clear, I've never watched any of the movies in their entirety. I've watched a clip or two of one of them. I own one of the books because it was gifted to me, and I will never put any of my time into any of those stories. Ever. 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 And that's not a political thing. That's, she wants me dead. People like me don't deserve to live in her mind. So, fuck her. I'm not giving her a dime. I've not played any of the games. I've not seen any of the movies. Any of the movies. I refuse to give her a dime. Fuck that. Nope. Spirit Tether. We'll do Spirit Tether. That being said, I probably won't comment on anything that you say again about that in here. I'm not going to stop people from talking about that in here, but I'm not going to partake. Player 2 will cast Firebolt. Player 3 will cast like Parry Riposte. That's a reaction. So that's not the intent that we need here. A reaction. Rift Lance. Player 3 casts Rift Lance. And we'll put one more player in here. Oh no, two more players. So we'll have player 4 and player 5. Player 4 will cast Tsunami, and player 5 will cast Thunder. And the reason why we're doing that is because I want to have a combo attack showing up as well. So we have Firebolt, Tsunami, and Thunder. We have Implode and Spirit Tether and Rift Lance. And none of those are actual combos. None of those actually combine to make anything. So Ionic Blast requires Firebolt and Electricity, which we have here, but the test is to make sure those two don't combine because we have Firebolt, Tsunami, and that. So we have that. Black Hole requires Tri-Blaster and Supernova, so that's not going to cast. Same thing with Supermassive and Supernova itself. Implode, Spirit Weapon, and Melt. Spirit Tether and Melt Weapon. So we don't have that. I can throw Melt Weapon in here as well. But the minute I do that, the minute I throw Melt Weapon in here, because one of them is the minute I throw Melt Weapon in, we have Implode, Spirit Tether, and Melt Weapon. We have Firebolt, Tsunami, and Thunder. And then we have Rift Lance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th. The 7 of them together, by their powers combined, they are a supermassive black hole, which requires a black hole and Rift Lance, which is Tri-Blaster and Supernova. So the way this is right now, all I have to do is put in a Melt Weapon, and I should get the full combination. So we'll actually do that because we need to test that as well. So Melt Weapon. And what we can do, we can make this a player 4 action too, to see if it actually works the way it needs to. And what this does is making the second actions, it'll make it so that we are testing singular attacks. Actually, we'll put another one in here. We'll put a second Thunder in here, but the second Thunder will be player 3's second action as well. So now we have combo attacks, secondary attacks, uh, secondary combo attacks, and then we also have an attack that should last afterwards. That should be the thing that ends afterwards, where it's not like gone. Expected declaration found in tents. For now, I don't know if that'll work. Yeah, declaration. So this needs to be somewhere else. I don't think that needs to be in there. This needs to be somewhere else, but we'll keep this here. I can't declare it like that. I need to put it inside a function or a method. So we'll keep that there for now. And now we can go back into match. That's a whole answer. Table-driven tests in Go are exactly this. Table-driven tests, which told me I needed to put in test. These are inputs to a unit test, not game content. YAML fixtures earn their place at the turn tick layer, where a scenario is a whole combat with actors, pools, and expected damage. Big enough that authoring it in Go structs gets painful, and stable enough to be worth a file. A 3-line intent slice is neither. Okay. The registry side is different, and that's where fs.fs pays off. fstest.mapfs lets you build a tiny in-memory ability set, 3 abilities, 1 recipe, with no disk access and no dependency on data. Staying still. Your loader already takes an fs.fs, so this works today. Use the real data directory only for the one integration test that proves the loader and matcher agree. Everything else runs against a fixture registry you control completely. Fixture registry I control completely. The first thing to write isn't match, it's match_test.go with one case that has 0 recipes and 2 intents. Expecting both to come back in pure. That test fails to compile, then fails to pass, then passes. And you've proven the plumbing before writing any logic at all. So we go in here. So we need to write a test. So we're going to go and find the other tests that we did before, which tell me how to do the function definition. Not the definition. What the hell is it called again? What's it called again? It's a function something something. Signature. All right. Ads coming in. We will be back in 2.5 minutes, and we'll have music when we come back. Be right back. And for those of you who don't get ads, I'm just going to write up the function. On with the music. Okay. All right, so now I have the test, but I don't know, because I thought that I'd have to go into here. But I'm not going into here. With one case that has 0 recipes and 2 intents. 0 recipes, 2 intents. Expecting both to come back impure. So I have to now I have to send the intent over to no disk access. Your loader already takes an FSM. So this works today. Use the real data directory only for the one integration that has that proves the loader and matcher agree. Everything else runs against a fixture registry you control completely. A fixture registry I control completely, which means I have to recreate all the... Why? Okay. So I have to create a fixture registry by taking the data already on disk and copying it to a test file for testing. Why? All right, so time to figure out what I'm doing. I actually didn't want to listen to that. I wanted to listen to this. Like, why is this taking so long all of a sudden? It's like... I've already used 11%. Not even 2 questions. I've used 11%. 11%, and I did 2 questions. This, because that was last night, and this. This says 11%. Just those 2, like 11 fucking percent. How is that already at 11%? How? How is that already? Oh, no, it says 10%. How is that already at 10%? Crazy. I have to start using this data, this money here. I have to start using this free money. But I have no idea, like, like Fable isn't good. Maybe I just start using it and say fuck it. Maybe I just start going overboard. All right, so testing. Into match, which I don't have. Contradicting itself. So load schema test does exactly this. Use that. os.openroot also confines the walk to that subtree. There's a reason it's better than os.dirfs and why you already picked it. Matters when you need data that can't exist on disk. A deliberately malformed file, which can exist on disk. A pathological recipe, which shouldn't exist on. The one caveat, cheap to manage. A test asserting these two abilities produce no combo silently starts failing the day someone authors a recipe containing them. Pick abilities you know aren't ingredients anywhere, or assert on what is present rather than absolute counts. Solo dev, you dumb bitch. Solo dev, my god. Ugh. Where the intents go, straight into match, which doesn't exist. Because it literally said, the first thing you do isn't match, it's match underscore test. Ah! Sorry. I might have to swap to ChatGPT for a little bit for like guidance. All right, that's a later problem. Where the intents go, straight into match. So this is saying test match or test intents is what it is. And then I just redo the same stuff that's in, not in aspects test, but it's in the loader test. So load schema test, it's in here, the same thing. The same overall idea, right? And then which goes into load, and that becomes descriptor. So I am using the descriptor, which is what I thought I was going to be doing this. Okay, Altanin, MMO, server, internal, internal descriptor. So I think what's going on now is I'm starting to understand things. And I'm second guessing myself because I'm still learning stuff. And I'm thinking I'm supposed to do it one way. And then saying, no, that's not the way it is because I'm getting guidance from AI that's making me think that I'm supposed to do it a different way than what I think I'm going to need to do. I think like 10 minutes ago, I said something about needing to use the descriptor and needing to load stuff. And I started looking into here. And now that's not the case. I have a real registry to work against. There's no reason not to use it. For testing, I can go ahead and manually mutate the files. That's not a problem either. So what I need to do is, because the descriptor is going to have the load function, which under descriptor is, I really need to fix like all of this. So I have aspects test, right? Which tests the aspect stuff, but I don't have aspects.go. I have bounded range test, but bounded range is inside types, right? So if I look at bounded range test, it's just testing the range. That's all it's doing. So like, you know, maybe, I don't know. it's just confusing to me that I have so much over here. And it just looks strange. So we look at loader.go, which has the load function, and allows us to walk the directory. fs walkdir, didn't it say something? Dir fs, not walkdir, okay. So basically, we're just gonna use the function call for this. And we're gonna basically copy what we have in the test schema. So first, set up the fs calls, which is no, set up the root os root project or load. Why? That's the test. It's the test. I'm like I'm second guessing myself again. It's the test. So I need to open the root in the test, because when we actually have when we have function main, our main function is going to not be testing. It's actually going to be doing this based on environment variables and whatnot. So yeah. So I'm basically doing the same thing as test load, making sure that we have all the stuff done, and then the assertions. So what, I'm going to be repeating that. Why can't I just no, because this will end up being a part of the main function, and I don't want to do main yet. So we're just going to copy this. I should write it out. Yeah. Then s.root. Root or rooter? Open root. Open root. SOS. Import OS. OS. Open root. I don't see open. Okay. Function open root. Open root opens a name directory. It follows symbolic links in the directory name. If there's an error, it will be of type path error. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. And where did it go? I just... Open root in root. So it's this one, right? Yeah. It returns a pointer to root and error. It returns a pointer to root A root pointer, an error. So why do I not have a pointer here? Why do I... Really? Really? Oh, that automatically infers a type of this variable being a pointer to root. Okay. Because the function creates and returns the pointer direct. Okay, because so the walrus operator allows me to do that myself. Okay. All right. So root error walrus os.open root. And this is up 2 3 data. That's the same 1 2 3 data. Yeah. And then if error is not equal to nil, then we have to t.fatal f error error opening root directory. I think I can use %w here. Okay, can I use %w there? That's ability data directory. %w. I think. Can I use format fmt go verbs format package with error with testing error %w. So I can use that. And I just updated the schema test. So wait a minute. Oh, shit on me. Okay. Yeah, it does not. Fatal F does not support error wrapping. Okay. Okay. So that'll work. It's not %W, it's %V. Is it defer.close or close.defer? Defer root.close. Okay. Yeah. Now we need to grab registry error equals scripter.load root. But load requires just the registry. If error is not equal to nil, t.fatal f error loading registry %v, comma error. Right? Okay, yeah, because okay. So this is so this would be registry because the load errors are different. If error is not equal to nil, then t.fatal f, and this is why I have the load errors which n %v plus percent plus v. So there, now we have our total setup here, and excuse me. And now we need to send something over to the match. And what we are going to receive from the match is going to be a result. So, intent result equals match, and we want it to be, we want to send the intent and the registry, but we want the registry to be a pointer to the registry. I think. Double check. Nope. Nope. Now we have match, which isn't here. Why are we? Not use root variable of type OS root as FSFS value in descriptor. OS.root does not implement FSFS. Excuse me? Excuse me? Declared not used intent result. I suppose I don't need format. I can just do t dot error f intent result. Error loading registry, nil. Error loading registry. So how is error loading registry nil? On line 41. How? Composed intent ability test actor. Okay, that's what it returned. So we have it composed. Because I said in match, I said it was going to be composed. So it returned composed. So now I know that the call works. And now we can test these. If intent, actually we can just go res. If res dot composed is not equal to 0, t dot error f composed wanted composed 0 got composed b comma length of res composed, right? Length, yeah. Got a res length of res composed. Wanted composed 0 got composed 1, and then if length of res dot pure is not equal to 2, then t dot error f wanted pure 2 dot pure %d. And that's the 2 errors that we should get from this, because inside here, this is what it's testing on. But we have the whole registry. We have the whole registry. So now we need to check against the registry. Nothing receives the intents but match. The registry is reference data it reads. The intents are the input it consumes. That separation data. Yeah. Uncomment the descriptor import in the combo package and stub match to return an empty result. Then run it. It'll fail on the pure count. And that failure is the plumbing proving itself before a single line of magical logic exists. But we already have exactly what we're looking for because we have this. But it wanted me to import that instead when I needed it over here. Because I don't need it here. It won't be used over there. Right? See how it's not used over here? I don't need it there because that's just types. So we don't even need that there at all. And I don't need it in the helpers either. And I don't need to look at the loader anymore. What time is it? 8:16. Okay. All right. So now I have to go through. I have to go through in match. Let's open up match test over here. And what we need to do now is inside here, we need to grab so now inside the match test, we have the intents, we have the registry. We need to check the intents against the registry. So now we need to find registry dot shit, I do need the types over here. We have the registry, got ability mechanics. So we have the registry. Check intents values. Or loop intents value against registry. So for intent, which is this, which is actually the ingredient. No, we're just doing the intents right now, right? Match test. Just the intents. So the ability, the actor, and the action. That's all we're doing. Ability, actor, and action. Ability, actor, and action. Power and the ingredients is later. So we grab the intent, we find the ability, and then we parse all the other stuff out. Power is going to end up being 0 at the moment, but that's all right. So we loop intent for I, comma, do we need to do intent equals range intents. So I is the index, intent is the single slice. If intent dot ability ID if reg intent dot ability ID not equal to nil, then set up turn slide variable ret val equals var ret val result. Ret val equals append to ret val I have to add it to composed. To ret val. Shit. How am I going to do this? So what I need to do, let me just walk through it in my head. I need to loop through the ability registry, which has all the abilities. Inside that ability registry, I need to verify that an ingredient, I have to grab the intent, which gives me the ability ID. That ability ID then gives me an access to the registry via reg intent.ability ID. Because intent is a struct of intent. I grab the ability ID, grab the entry inside the registry that is that ability ID. That entry inside the registry, for our cases, the first one is going to be implode. So if we open implode here, it's going to be this. So the ability ID right now is going to be, this should be t.error f ability ID %s comma intent. Declared not used I. Undefined T, where silly me. Combo intent. Combo intent. Combo dot intent. High risk attack. High risk attack. Implode, high risk attack. They're the ability IDs. We have the ability IDs inside there. Same thing, copy, paste, paste. So now instead of that, we need to T intent.ability ID is reg intent.ability ID dot castable. Not index reg. Registry. I didn't keep the registry here. Registry is here. Oh, silly me. Okay. Because it's a pointer, because reg is a pointer, the registry, the pointer, we have to use a pointer here. And so intent.abilityID is the actual ability. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. How? Why? What? I'm not dropping anything there. What the hell? How do you figure? I'm dropping nothing. Must have been a little error. All good. We're fine. I've never seen that error before. So, and of course now it's gone. Like I said, we're fine. It might have been just a little hiccup. All right, so ID is intent.abilityID. Amex equals reg dot Amex.castable. Cannot indirect the hell? Why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? Cannot indirect registry ability ability mechanics ID. Why can't I do that? Maybe I have to do this. Trying to change a specific field inside a struct that's stored inside a map. You're trying to do it in one single tap. Map elements are not expressible. Addressable. I'm not trying to change a field. I'm trying to get the value of a field. All right, ads coming. We'll be right back. I'm trying to get the value of a field. Why can't I? Maps in Go are dynamic. If Go allowed you to change a field directory and the map suddenly had to resize and move, the memory address of your struct would change. Go prevents you from taking the memory address of items. I'm not trying to take the memory address. I'm trying to... I think I have it. I need to add this value because this is castable, so that means it's a pure ingredient. I need to add the ingredient, be the intent and the power. Ingredients is none, so it's going to be empty. But I need to add that to the result. Motherfucker. Holy fuck, I did it right. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. I'm in shock. Note that I did all that just based off of what it was telling me to start with. None of this here was done, like this itself, none of that was done with AI at all. I'm fucking learning. Now I get to see here's the loop. This is the output. Now it's going to tell me what I can do better, and it's also going to tell me I didn't do a nil check. There it is. Go map access on a missing key returns 0 value silently. It never errors, so an unknown ability ID gives you a 0 ability whose castable is a nil bool and mech's castable dereferences nil and crashes. On a server processing client submitted IDs, that's a remote crash from a typoed message. The comma OK idiom, which is how present from 0. So instead of Amex OK, if not OK, how do I error in just a... Do I have to do errors? How? Because I can't do error F. Right? let's just do that. I'm not getting any. Oh, maybe because I'm not printing. I guess I'll just, I don't know how to send the error out in just a, so I know how to do it in a test, but I don't know how to do it in just a regular function that doesn't return anything but result. It was a test to make sure that the stuff was working against a pure result, you son of a bitch. God, you don't understand your own context. It doesn't understand its own context. It literally said, uncomment the descriptor, stub match to return an empty result. Then run it, it'll fail on the pure count. The next piece is computing leaf power, which is the first thing match will actually do with reg. But this was just to verify it, like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right. So I did this on my own. I understand it. I don't know how to error out here because it's going to return a value. I don't know how to just cancel it. Like, so we have to probably change the signature for the function to return an error. right? And so, right? And use null as a result value in return statement. And then in match test, okay, now I want this to actually fail. But that didn't fail. So that returns immediately. But it doesn't return it. Oh no, wanted pure 2 got pure 0. So it does. If there's an error, it'll return and just stop doing it. Error call has possible printf formatting directive. There we go. All right, so now we know that we have Amax. Anytime you index the map, and then touch a pointer or a slice from the result, you need the two-value form. I am touching a slice from the result. I need to make sure that's there. Non-castable abilities currently vanished, not composed, not pure, just gone. Same for unknown IDs once you fix the panic. A client submitting a non-castable ability ID is either a client bug or someone probing your server, and neither should be invisible. Match returning result error is the honest signature. And it costs you nothing now versus retrofitting it after the tick calls it in 3 places. Intent is rebuilding what you already have. You deconstructed intent into 3 fields and reassembled them identically. Embedding means you can pass the whole thing. Really? Really? I can do that way? I can do that way? Motherfucker. Okay. I thought I had to do it the other way. I didn't. Okay. All right. It's a payoff for embedding, and it stays correct automatically when intent gains a field. Small stuff. String ID is a no-all. Ability ID is already a string. I was having issues with that earlier because of that. And it's not a pointer there. It's a pointer down here, castable is, but that's okay. And the format printf call belongs in the test as tlogf. Except that, and the format printf calls belong in the test as t.logf, but they can't go in there because I can't check each intent separately. That's why I put them there. But that's all right. That was for testing anyway, just to verify that I was doing this right. All right, so I had two issues, one that was just remnant from the pointer issue, and one that I forgot to do because I'm still learning. But we have result error, which is fine. Errors equals append errors. String type is not an expression. Fuck. Why is that not working? Not use errors as error value. Error. Slice error does not implement error. Missing method error. What the fuck? Oh. Oh. What line? Line 45. In match test. Match. Line 60. Still live panic, yep, which I just found. You record the error, then fall through the dereferences. How do I, do I do next? Continue after the append. Continue, not next. Continue. Okay. That way there we get out of that one and then go to that one. All right. So that should fix that. There we go. Match error, W error, ability. Match error, %W error, past ability doesn't exist in render. Match test 47. Match error. %W. So why is that? %W error. The fuck? Bingo. All right. Excellent. All right. We go. Got about 30 minutes left before I have to leave and go to work. So most of this I got done on my own. Not this side. I needed help with this side. Most of this I got done on my own, which makes me feel really good. It means I'm actually learning and not just saying I'm learning. I don't have Go Vet. Interesting. Everything else looks like it's working. All right. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is this. Ability doesn't exist in registry. Firebolt. Ability doesn't exist in registry. Firebolt. The fuck are you talking about? Did I rename it? Bolt. We got eight pure. They're all pure for now. So right now they're all pure. So we'll go 8 here for now. When we get to where what we're looking for, where we have Flame Bolt, Tsunami, and Thunder actually combining to make one combo skill. And we're one skill away from actually, nope, this one, we can actually get rid of this one. We're one skill away from making supermassive black hole. Melt, weapon, creates a 7 combo of SMBH plus 1 pure thunder. Without it, we have a Tri-Blaster, 3, and four pures. The pures would be Implode, Spirit, Tether, Rift Lance, and Thunder. I think. I don't think we would have... Yeah, because we're using tags and we don't have tags at the moment. Yep. All right. So yeah, that's how that would work. So we have 7 instead of 8. Well, not 8, we have 7. And then we'll eventually need 1 composed and 4 pure. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is, technically, we need to start adding or getting the power levels, but I don't want the power levels yet. I don't think. Format error composes into a readable chain, but only if the inner message doesn't start with error in a capital. Godot and most linters flag it. Godot did not flag that, just saying. Design question you've now walked into: is an unknown ability ID fatal to the whole call, or does the rest of the phase still resolve? Selecting and continuing says resolve what's valid, report what isn't, is what the loader does correctly, because a bad content file should surface every problem at once. A combat phase is arguably different. If one actor's intent is garbage, resolving the other 7 and silently dropping them may be worse than refusing the turn. Determines whether continue is right for you. Yeah, that's fine. Now the next thing, this is about to say, next is power, replacing that hard-coded one. That's where magnitude times coefficient comes in, and it raises float versus integer question you haven't settled yet. So inside match, we now have the ability mechanics file, ability mechanics for that. And so reval.pure equals append for now. that ends up being, oops, we need the ability. Ability.magnitude. If a max dot magnitude actually first scaling cell scaling cell equals 1. We're gonna need to go into like other stuff. So right now, if I just use implode as an example, implode has a magnitude. It does not have a scaling cell up here, but additionally down here under payload, it has a coefficient, and this can actually have a magnitude in and of itself, right? So we have to check payload damage effects coefficient, payload damage effects magnitude. So that's going to be a test, but for now, I think so getting the power calculated requires a few things. Some are deferred. 1, get the scaling cell value. Two. So I'm pretty sure there's a coefficient on the base ability, but I don't remember. But I think there is. No, just magnitude and scaling cell. There's no coefficient on the base ability. There should be. Shouldn't there? Is there a magnitude on the base ability? I mean, a coefficient on the base ability? There's no coefficient on the baseability. Wow. All right, so this is the last ad we're going to have today. We'll see you in 2.5 minutes. And then we've got 30 minutes, give or take 25 minutes of just more coding. We'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'm going downstairs. Do 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 do. All right. Set the ingredient power to this value. I gotta make sure I'm right on this. Gotta make sure I'm right. I do want to apologize for the short cast this morning. An abilities payload is a list, and nothing stops 2 damage effects in it. Sum them, presumably, but each carries its own coefficient, so it's sum of them both. But no. 1. An ability with more than 1 direct damage payload is illegal. Taxian, the dev's going well. I want to let you know that I'm only going to be here for another 15 minutes or so because I have work, and work is going to be 3 hours or more today. So I'm not going to be around in 15 minutes. And I can't just leave the stream going because it's going to be like 3 hours that I'm going to be gone. But I will be back around 1 o'clock my time. So like 4.5 hours from now is when I'll be back. So, 3.5 hours from now. Like 3.5 hours from now is when I'll be back. So, like, I apologize for you just getting here as I'm about to log off. But, you know, with that said, it's been going really well. I did almost everything here I did without even referring to the AI, which is great because it means I'm actually learning good shit. So we're actually making some progress. We're getting somewhere, and I'm feeling really good about things right like today. So I have a lot of work I want to do tonight when I come back. So with that said, I'm sorry, but hey, theorizing experimental ideas, virtual worlds. I can't wait to talk to you about it, man. I really can't. All right, so combo power, total applied pool, while first layer abilities, castables, will additionally scale on the pool applied, which is not yet in place all as it resource. All right, this will be the last little thing that I do, and then I've got a log. I'm talking to it about recursion and about the fact that dual damage effects on a single payload will not work. At least I think they should fail, but I don't know. Yep. You must round at the comparison, applying the same rounding to both operands. The two values that should be equal often differ in the low bits. Math round maps both to the nearest 64 to the same decimal, which is bit identical. Round only at right time, and you'll still get mismatches from later arithmetic. That's fine. Rounding to a fixed number of decimals and comparing a fixed point arithmetic with a float storage type. Scaled by 100,000 gets you the same thing with exactness rather than near exactness, and no rounding discipline to remember. And we'll figure that out. Your trace is exactly the one presentational difference. Your second now forms Triblaster and Supernova together. The loop binds one recipe per iteration, so it formed them across 2 iterations. Highest value first, then rescan. Same end state because independent recipes competing for disjoint items can't interfere with each other. Order only matters when 2 candidates want the same item, and that's precisely when value ranking decides it. Which means iteration count is an implementation artifact and shouldn't leak. Your rows are tree depth, and depth is recoverable from the finished structure. Black hole's children are Triblaster and Supernova, whose children are leaves. If the client wants to animate the assembly in layers, it walks the tree. It doesn't need to know the matcher took 4 passes or 7. All right. All right. So yeah. So I'm right. This is what we end up doing. This right here. Get the scaling cell value, which is deferred. It's at static right now. And this is only when it's castable. Get ability magnitude. Then get damage effects, hit effects, magnitude. Actually, one question. When I start looking at skills that apply multiple effects, or combos that apply multiple effects, like a condition magnitude 0.4, that will need to be but no damage. We'll need some way of determining power. No, I don't even need that. So damage, oh, undo for later, because something that applies 3 conditions that aren't damaged but freeze the target place preventing action, for example, might have a relative power of higher than, say, a Tri-Blaster. All right, and that's going to be the end of that. We'll be back in about 4 hours. And we'll be continuing our coding and learning and all that nifty stuff in the development of this MMO while we're learning C#, Go, and Godot. Until then, I'm not going to say ciao for now because I'll be back in about 4 hours. So I hope you all have a good lunch or a good afternoon or a good morning, depending on what time it is for you. And I'll see you in about 4 hours. Enjoy.
Duck and cover.
It's a bomb, duck and cover.